So is it possible for us to begin to really think about a school without walls, a school without boxes, and start saying, how do we want to bring up the children of the world together? When we are talking about resiliency, we're talking about the fact that whether it's COVID, whether it's in Assam right now, the floods, whether it is an earthquake, how do we make sure that this learning continues in a way that is a very positive and constructive thing that the child is able to do? And we can't be looking at resiliency as something that is possible only when everything is going fine, because that's not when when it's tested. So what is it that the school needs to do to make sure that it continuously is able to operate is something that management, government, everybody will have to take into consideration. There are two fundamental things. One, of course, is that you need your devices and data to become like your school bags. The other piece is, how do we make children absolutely independent learners, so that we can provide them with the support, the peer group, online support, or the mentoring, coaching, teaching support that they need. That is going to become something that is just an ecosystem for a child, but the child becomes self-driven. There is a self-efficacy, there's a sense of agency that every child has. And that's something that we need to develop tremendously if we want to have resilient sort of education. And I wouldn't even look at it as something that a school has to provide, because a school beyond a point is brick and mortar. What we need to look at is, how do we create learning which is resilient, which doesn't sort of stop because of the fact that there may be a tough time ahead for our next few generations, as well as our own generation, because that's what we're suffering right now. We learn together. We learn when we are in a cohort. We learn when we are with friends. We learn when we are in a space where we can ask questions, where our inquiry leads us to other people's inquiry, and that's what makes it fun to learn. So what do we do to keep that social structure alive, to keep that community alive, is going to be a big challenge. I think in the coming couple of months, I would really recommend that people begin to look at it in terms of their local, the spaces that they have. If we were to say map the locality and find all of the people who've been ex-teachers, people who are ex-students there, who are older but are willing to get involved, mentors, coaches, whoever we can find in the entire community, and then to be able to identify who are the children in that area, what kind of inputs do they need. And we could actually begin to really bring alive the idea that a child is something that has to be brought up by an entire village. So let's actualize that statement. For those children who are online, then the world is actually their teachers. So how do we begin to create platforms where children can connect with anyone? If they have a passion, they can connect with anyone who shares that passion. So is it possible for us to begin to really think about a school without walls, a school without boxes, and start saying, how do we want to bring up the children of the world together? Whether the child is isolated without a device and cannot get online, or whether a child can get online, how do we ensure enough resources around that child to make the child feel that we are with you, we are there, and there is no sense of isolation?